Okay, hello and welcome to the real life of motor vehicle repairs. So here's a Citroen with a hub carrier which has been stripped out. This is not the point of the video. First of all, I'm going to give you a heads up and progress report on the tools that I've told you about on the Blue Spot tools. Okay, so on the bench I've got a hub carrier there, stripped the hub bearing out, and yes, the tool that I'm using, which is the wheel bearing replacement tool from Blue Spot Tools, brilliant. I am using this on quite regularly actually at the moment because we've had a few failed wheel bearings due to water ingress. And I will say that the tool is actually very, very good value for money, so it's working for a living. However, these tools, this set of shiny aircraft spanners or long reach spanners, I will review them. However, I'm really nervous about taking them out of the box because they just look really shiny in there. And if you know me by now, you know how dirty this trade is, and once the tools get into service, then they get scratched. But hey ho, I'd like to talk about impact tools and such like. So impact tools are used on air guns. They're black for a reason, and they're made out of a metal, and they don't shatter, or they shouldn't shatter after they've been used quite regularly. As you can see here, this is the type of job that 32mm sockets have. They have an inch drive power gun, and yeah, they get a real battering, but they never shatter. Okay, unfortunately the silverware here, this is not built the same way. They're shiny for a reason, okay, chrome vanadium coating and all that sort of business. Now these are snap-on ones, these are Torx bits, which I will talk about later. These are not to be used in an air gun, but they have replaceable parts on them, so they have a warranty for life. And look, I'm missing one there, unfortunately. But what I've got here is this set here, which is an 8-piece Torx set for use with an air gun or a battery gun. Very, very nice kit. This is from T30 to T80, and it's very, very useful. And this is what I'm going to explain, not only for car fitters, DIYs and HGV technicians, but for anybody who requires a service of these tools. So the part number is 01506. 8-piece half-inch drive impact Torx sockets, about 25 quid. That was a screenshot from Amazon today. So the valve is loose on the bench. Use a battery gun and this to rip out this bung plug. Okay, now that's rusty. I can't get a hex fitting into it. These are also hex headed set screws for an axle, okay, and I'm using that to use on the screws because Torx fit, especially if they're corroded, they'll fit in. So that's half-inch drive, that's quite nice, okay, and these set screws don't want to be pushed in too hard. They don't really want to be driven in with a battery gun or an air gun, okay. So what I use is industrial finish tools as well. That is my mainstay. I love the feel of them. And yeah, dirty, greasy job here. So you can see you do not necessarily need a hex. You can have or minimize your tools by using Torx fittings. Yep. Okay, so this area is quite sensitive. It has to be done up to about 15 or 20 Newton meters. Okay, so that's what it's done. Okay, now also these are long reach, which is handy. You don't need to use wobbly adapters and stuff like that, so I can just quickly bang that bung plug back in next to that air filter there. Now, HGV technicians, this is a very expensive kit. Some of you might have got one of these from Blue Point, which is about 260 quid plus the dreaded VAT. T60 to T100, and then there are hex as well, which I haven't actually used this kit because I work for DAF and not for MAN. MAN have a lot more Torx than what DAF do. There's a big list here, and one of those is I use a tool TX70, and it says DAF truck oil drain plug. Okay, you see that there? Well, which drain plug? Because the main oil for the sump is 5mm hex, yeah, because it's a very, very delicate plastic bung plug. But this is T70 for the rear axle level and drain plug, okay, which is in the kit as well, which I like. Okay, and that's what it will be assigned to, oil drain plug for the and level for the rear axle, yeah. But the TX80 Iveco steering box, but also for Rubione or Meritor and Volvo calipers as well, and this is what I bought. This cost about 80 odd pounds plus the VAT, where the whole kit of this only cost 25 quid. And you can see, although a little bit shorter, you can always put an adapter on there to use, and it is the same size. Yeah, so who's the mug for buying something at 80 odd quid plus VAT? Me, generally. And this kit as well, well, I keep it a little bit like a talisman. If I have it in my box, I know it's there if I need it, but it will ward away bad spirits. But also I'm a trailer technician, so SAF axles, when we get them in with discs, I also need one of those to be able to remove the discs. Now with car fitters, yes, you're going to use Torx, because Torx turn up on every single vehicle nowadays, don't they? Either male or the female. Mainly you use the female sockets for a lot of the fitting components, but when you get down to the suspension components and the brake caliper components, they will have Torx on them now, won't they? And they are nasty to get out. We get surprised by even some of the suspension parts. They have Torx bits on them, whether they're male or female. Okay, so this caliper on this Citroen happens to be a Torx bit, yeah. So I'm always happy to show you good stuff that actually works. Downside is in the box, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but they will over time serve well, and I'm sure because they're going to be used fairly regularly that they take a long time to work out. Always use industrial finish stuff on air guns and use the shiny stuff for your hand tools. Okay, so I'll give you a heads up on these later, but you can see what you get in the box, yeah. And what you see is generally what you get. Okay, what I would like to do is to fill up that space there with these, and this would be ideal because it's on the impact side. You can see how many impact sockets I've got, and that'd fit nicely in there just like that. But no, I think I'll give them a road test with my apprentice, because he's the one who's going to abuse tools more than I am. But it's a brilliant set. I very, very much like this. If you want them, go onto Amazon, get yourself a box set. Yeah, worth it. So the second tool I want to talk about is the hex socket bit set, okay, because we also need to use these in certain places. So the stock code is 01510, and the description is extra long ball end hex socket bit set, which is going to be a direct replacement for these ball end ones which are slow. Now I have a normal set here with ball end on the other end. They work okay, but these are going to work faster for me. Yeah, this is the set I've selected, which is more versatile than the straight end, which is 01516, okay, which do not have a ball end. Now I'll tell you a little story about this hinge on the back bumper of a trailer. Okay, this was absolutely mullered. It broke off like they always do. The fixings here are Allen key fixings, okay, so they're hex heads. We had to weld a nut onto one of these set screws to remove it because it was corroded in place. Hex screws are not the best to undo, and you can see where the position of it is. Nut's not the best to access, but the worst part is trying to get in there to either undo or do up the plate, okay. Now this is my mainstay, which is in my box, which is the Allen key set with ball ends on them, because you can get better purchase and better angles with them, okay. I'll just show you this long reach hex, okay, or Allen key. Basically I paid quite a lot of money for that, and compared to the Allen keys which wouldn't do the job at the time. I've just showed Harry here how to use a spanner on this Allen key. As you can see, he's actually using a 10mm spanner on it to be able to turn the set screw to tighten it up, and this is on the hinge bumper. Okay, now he's done a nice little job there. It would have been quicker and more convenient if we'd had this set, because the set screw was 8. Okay, so we've got 10mm down to 3mm. The reach on these is 110mm, and of course because it's got a ball socket on the end, you can actually approach Allen keys at a slight angle as well. So chrome vanadium, only to be used with hand tools, and they are what they are. They are going to not snap, because you know how Allen keys are, they usually slip first. Okay, so there you can see, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. Okay, this is not just for HGV technicians obviously, but the way we do things when we get jobs, we usually have a run of jobs, which means we need to get tools to make things quicker so we can do a job quicker and we can get paid and go home. Anyway, back to the real world for you guys and girls. I know the truck, trailer and tractor and plant fitters and all sorts watching this, DIYers, Land Rover owners. You make the choices of the tools you want. All I'm doing is showing you what tools are pretty good, and I'm impressed with Blue Spot tools. They don't have a massive selection, but the tools they do have are fairly cheap, good quality.